of the world pressing against your chest, moments when you lie awake at night wondering how much more your heart can endure, moments when the silence feels louder than any storm you have ever walked through. And right now, someone hearing these words is carrying a load so heavy that even breathing feels like an act of bravery. You have fought, you have endured, you have prayed, and yet the struggle has lasted longer than you ever expected. But listen closely, because this is not random. You didn't come across this message by mistake. Something in your spirit is reaching for hope, and God is responding. God knows it's painful. God has seen every step, every tear, every quiet prayer you've whispered when no one else was near. And God is preparing to send help. There are moments when we tell ourselves we're strong, but the truth is even the strongest hearts grow weary. You have tried to convince others that you're fine, but deep down you know you've reached a place where only God can lift you. And that is exactly where miracles are born. God never lets a faithful heart break without releasing healing. God never allows a battle to continue without shaping a victory on the other side. The struggle you're facing right now is not evidence that God has abandoned you. It is evidence that God is building something greater than you can see. The pressure is a sign of preparation. The waiting is a sign of positioning. The heaviness is a sign that God is shifting things in ways you cannot yet comprehend. There is someone listening who thinks, I'm exhausted. I don't know how much more I can take. And God sees that weariness. God knows the nights you cried yourself to sleep and told no one. God knows the days you pushed yourself forward even when everything in you was pleading for rest. God knows the moments you questioned your worth, questioned your purpose, questioned your future. Yet through it all, God kept you breathing, God kept you standing, God kept you alive, because your story is not ending here. The help you've been praying for is already on its way. God is getting ready to intervene in a way that will leave you speechless. There is something powerful that happens when a heart reaches the edge of its own strength. When you can no longer rely on your plans, when you can no longer depend on your own understanding, when you have no choice but to turn entirely toward God. That is when God steps in with a strength that does not bend, a wisdom that does not weaken, and a power that does not fade. God will never let you walk through fire alone. Even if the flames rise higher, God's protection rises higher still. Even if the path becomes rougher, God's hand becomes stronger. Even if the storm intensifies, God's presence becomes clearer than ever before. You may not realize it, but right now, God is surrounding you with a shield you cannot see. Doors you didn't even know existed are being prepared for you. People you have not yet met are being positioned to bless you. And the strength you need for the next chapter is being developed within you through the very struggles that feel so overwhelming today. God never wastes pain. God uses it to shape you, strengthen you, refine you, and remind you that your life is held in hands far more capable than your own. Sometimes help doesn't arrive in the form of instant rescue. Sometimes it comes as inner resilience. God gives you a strength you didn't realize you possessed. God fills you with a peace that doesn't align with your circumstances. God whispers to your heart, hold on. I know it's heavy, but this heaviness is not your ending. It is your preparation. And maybe that is exactly what you need to hear today. You are not failing. You are not falling apart. You are being supported. God is nearer than you think. You've been asking, why does life have to be this hard? Why does my journey feel so weighty? But I want you to consider something. What if the weight you're carrying is not punishment but preparation? What if the struggle is not a sign of abandonment but the forming of someone destined for something far greater? God never strengthens a person without intention. And God never allows you to endure hardship without providing a way through it. You may feel like you're walking through darkness, but God sees the road clearly. You may feel lost, but God knows exactly where you stand. You may feel alone, but you are surrounded by a presence that has never left you for a single heartbeat. There is someone listening who feels misunderstood. You've tried to explain your pain to others, but they can't grasp the depth of what you're carrying. God sees it. God knows it. God understands it in a way no human ever could. You don't have to explain your tears to God. God reads every one of them. You don't have to justify your weakness. God knows how much you've endured. You don't have to pretend to be strong. God already knows the real you. And God loves you through every struggle, every doubt, every broken moment. And right now, God is whispering to your spirit, help is coming. Not the kind of help that disappears after a week. Not the kind of help that briefly lifts your mood. Not the kind of help that leaves you relying on temporary solutions, but real help, divine help, the kind of help that shifts the direction of your life, the kind of help that moves mountains, opens doors and breaks chains, the kind of help that reminds you that you have never been forgotten, never been overlooked, never been abandoned. Some of the greatest blessings arrive disguised as difficulty. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs come after seasons of deep struggle. And some of the most life-changing moments appear when you reach your lowest point and God lifts you higher than you ever imagined. You may not see the help yet, but it is on its way. You may not feel the strength yet, but it is being built. You may not understand the purpose yet, but one day you will look back and say, God was working all along. Maybe you're in a season where everything feels uncertain. You're unsure of what comes next. You're unsure of how you will make it. You're unsure of who you can trust. But let me tell you something with absolute confidence. You can trust God when everyone else fails. God remains faithful when everything else shifts. God remains steady. When life feels overwhelming, God remains the calm at the center of the storm. You don't have to know the entire plan. You just need to trust the one who holds the plan. There is someone who feels like the battle has dragged on far too long. You're thinking, how much longer will this continue? And God is saying, just long enough for me to complete what I have prepared, but not a moment more. God does not let storms linger endlessly. God does not allow seasons of hardship without a finish line. And God never lets difficulty write the last chapter of your story. What you're facing right now is temporary, but the strength God is forming in you will endure for years. The lessons you're learning will guide you for a lifetime. The resilience God is planting in your heart will prepare you for blessings far beyond what you envision. Sometimes we assume help means everything suddenly becoming easy. But true help from God means God strengthens you so deeply that even when life is not easy, you stand unshaken. God gives you a courage that rises above fear. God gives you a peace that nothing can disturb. God gives you a clarity that slices through confusion. God gives you a hope that refuses to fade. That is the kind of help God is preparing for you. There is someone whose heart is weary from repeated disappointments. You trusted and things fell apart. You hoped and it didn't happen. You prayed and the answer seemed delayed. Now you're wondering if this is just how life will always be. But let me speak to that wounded place within you. Don't give up. Don't let disappointment trick you into believing God's promise is not true. Delays are not denials. Waiting is not rejection. And silence is not abandonment. God has not forgotten you. God is not finished with you. God is not overlooking your prayers. Sometimes the answer takes time because God is preparing something far greater than what you requested. When God's help arrives, it never comes a day late. It never comes in the wrong form. It never comes in a way that leaves you confused or more broken. When God sends help, it comes with clarity. It comes with peace. It comes with a sense of divine timing that leaves you amazed at how perfectly everything aligned. God knows what you need. God knows when you need it. God knows who must be involved. God knows which doors should open and which ones must stay closed. And God is orchestrating all of it right now. There are battles you're facing that no one knows about. There are tears you've cried that no one has seen. There are fears you've carried that no one has understood. But God knows. And not only does God know, God cares. God is not distant from your struggle. God is not indifferent to your pain. God is not watching from a distance. God is closer to you in your hardship than in your happiest moments. When your heart breaks, God draws near. When your strength fades, God steps in. When your hope dims, God reignites it with a spark that darkness cannot smother. You may feel like you're running out of strength, but God is not asking you to be strong for the rest of your life. God is asking you to trust Him for today. Just today, just this moment, just this next breath. God will provide strength for tomorrow when tomorrow arrives. But for now, God is saying, let me carry you through this moment. And that is help. That is divine help. Not always the kind that lifts the burden instantly, but the kind that ensures the burden doesn't crush you. Someone listening feels forgotten. You feel overlooked. You feel unheard. But the truth is, you are seen by the one who made you. God has been guarding your life since the day you came into this world. God has protected you in moments you never realized were dangerous. God has blocked attacks you never detected. God has closed doors that would have damaged you. God has kept people away who were never meant to walk with you into your purpose. That was help. You didn't recognize it then, but one day you will look back and see that God was helping you long before you ever asked. And now God is preparing to help you again, this time in a way that transforms your weary heart into a testimony of God's faithfulness. You have endured enough pain. You have shed enough tears. You have fought enough hidden battles. God is getting ready to lift you in a way that restores everything the struggle tried to steal. God is about to send people into your life who speak encouragement, who bring peace, who show compassion. God is about to remove the heaviness from your spirit and replace it with a strength that feels like renewal. God is about to open a door that no opposition will be able to close. But before help arrives, God often allows you to reach the point where you finally release control. That is where transformation begins. That is where breakthrough starts forming. Not when you're strong and confident, but when you say, God, I'm tired, I need you. That simple, honest confession becomes the very place where miracles start. God responds to humility. God responds to sincerity. God responds to the heart that admits, I can't do this alone. You may think your struggle proves weakness, but it doesn't. It proves you're human. And God specializes in lifting the human heart into places of strength that human effort cannot reach. God specializes in taking the weary and turning them into warriors. God specializes in taking the broken and turning them into examples of resilience. God specializes in taking what was meant to harm you and using it to empower you. You're not alone. Not now. Not ever. God is walking with you through a valley that feels impossible. But the same God who allowed you to enter it will give you the strength to come out stronger than before. The same God who watched your tears fall will be the God who wipes them away. The same God who saw your pain will be the God who brings you peace. The same God who knows how difficult it's been is the God who is preparing to send help at the perfect moment. Your story is not finished. Your strength is not gone. Your hope is not lost. You are being held by a power that never fails. You are being guided by wisdom that never makes a mistake. You are being covered by a mercy that never dries up. And very soon you will witness with your own eyes that nothing you endured was wasted. Every tear watered the soil for a fresh beginning. Every struggle shaped you into someone who will be ready for the blessings God is arranging. Every hardship was carving depth, compassion, strength, and resilience into your soul. Right now, heaven is moving on your behalf. Right now, God is aligning pieces for your next chapter. Right now, help is being released. It may not look like it yet, but it's coming. You may not feel it yet, but it's coming. You may not see the how, but God is already opening a way. God has not forgotten you. God has not overlooked you. God has not abandoned you. God knows it hurts, but God is about to send help. There are moments in life when the soul reaches a depth of struggle that words cannot describe. Moments when you stand inside your own life and wonder how one heart can carry so much weight. And yet, even in those moments when your strength feels drained and your hope feels faint, something inside you still whispers, maybe God hasn't finished with me yet. That whisper is not your imagination. It is God sustaining you when you don't realize you're being held. It is God keeping you steady even when everything inside you feels like collapsing. It is God saying, I know how heavy this is, but I am with you and I will not leave you here. Help is closer than you think. You're not walking blindly. You're not fighting alone. You're not surviving by your own strength. God is nearer to you than the fear that tries to suffocate you. God is nearer than the doubt that tries to discourage you. God is nearer than the battle that tries to break you. When life pushes you to the edge, God doesn't tell you to fear the fall. God says, let me lift you so you can see beyond it. The help God sends is not ordinary help. It is the kind that goes deeper than your pain, stronger than your fear, and higher than your expectations. God is preparing to send you the kind of help that transforms what you thought would destroy you into the very thing that prepares you. Some of the greatest turning points in life begin in the most painful seasons. When everything around you feels uncertain, God uses uncertainty to push you into trust. When people walk away, God uses their absence to draw you closer to Him.